الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين الفرد الصمد الواحد الأحد الذي لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وخاتم السفراء الكبراء المقربين العبد المؤيد والرسول المسدد المصطفى الأمجد والمحمود الأحمد حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم محمد صلى الله عليه وعلى آل بيته الطاهرين وسلم وبركة الله في الأراضين واللعن الدائم على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين آمين يا رب العالمين. Tonight we are commemorating the birthday of Imam Rizal alayhi salam. I found that it's probably proper if I choose a topic that will benefit our youth audience that are now present and the families of these young generation. The topic that I chose is, why am I a Muslim? It might sound very basic and a very simple question. However, it also is a very essential and important question. Have you ever asked yourself why you are a Muslim? How you got to this point to become a Muslim or to be a Muslim? What circumstances brought you in here to identify yourself as a Muslim? If not all of us, I would say most of us would answer this question. It's simply because I was born to the parents who were Muslim. If I was born to a family who was Christian or Jewish or Buddhist or other schools of thoughts, most likely I wouldn't be here tonight. That tells us an important piece of information. خاتم الأنبياء محمد صلوات اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Does it really bring any value? Yes, we agree that being born in a Muslim family is a great blessing. Perhaps that is the most significant and important ni'mat or blessing that any of us might have been received. Definitely on the day of judgment, the day of the judgment, when they are asking us, questioning us what we did to the ni'mat or to the blessing and bounty that we received, the number one, most important one is the blessing of being guided to Allah and to Islam. That is the most significant and the most important thing that you are going to be asked. However, the question is, just being born in a Muslim family brings us any credit, gives us any value? We didn't choose that, and we didn't work for it. Even though we are blessed, however, we cannot bank on it. We cannot expect others, including Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, give us lots of benefits for just being born in a Muslim family. You look at Islamic teachings, you will find that Islam claims, and most of us, the Muslims, believe that Islam is the best answer to all the questions of humanity. Any problem, social problem, psychological problem, family problem, economic problem, you name it, political problem that the world is facing on a daily basis, we believe wholeheartedly that Islam has the best answer, if there is any answer to it. Isn't it the case? We believe that Islam can bring the most prosperous, the happiest, and the most successful society, and can turn around everything. Yet, today when we look at the Muslim world, I would say 1.2, 1.3 billion, whatever is the number of the Muslims throughout the world, if you look at Islamic world, you will find that they are not the happiest people on the face of the earth. They are not the most prosperous one. They are not the most successful one. Their weather are not the cleanest. Their traffic are not the best. Their economies are not the best. They are in debt to the non-Muslims for the most part. And then they're killing each other and all the things that unfortunately is not a very rosy and favorable picture. Doesn't that make you think twice about the claim that Islam brings all the happiness and success and prosperity for humanity, when we see, at least in the last few centuries, we see nothing but misery in Muslim world? How do we answer this dilemma, this question of how can we make sense out of this? I personally think the only way that I can explain this phenomena is that the people that we know as Muslims, they are not Muslims, true Muslims. I call them so-called Muslims, potential Muslims. They can be Muslims. They are called, just named Muslim. They are Muslim by birth certificates or by their IDs. But they are not practicing Islam. They are not following Islam. It's like a best prescription issued by the best doctor for your illness, but you don't practice it, you don't follow it, you don't get the medication or remedy or whatever it is, you don't follow the orders, you don't benefit from that prescription. So, what makes the difference is not just calling ourselves Muslim, is really learning what is Islam and then practicing it in our lives. And if there is anything associated with being a Muslim and being born in a Muslim family, is not a credit, but it's a responsibility. It's a duty that comes with it. Now the question might be, how am I supposed to do this? Where am I supposed to start? Of course, when we are in a Muslim community, we are really fortunate that we have a lot of ways to feed ourselves in that line. However, it starts from you deciding to learn your religion and start from scratch. Quran has a very sharp and fierce fight and criticism against those who just blindly follow the others, including their forefathers. Tons of riwayat and ayat, verses of Quran and the narrations are there that condemns those people who just listen to their parents or their forefathers or to the peers and just follow them, follow the society, follow whatever is around them. Why is it so important to be critical about what we received from our relatives? Because we, by critical thinking, can find the difference between right and wrong. If we don't meticulously criticize the things that the others give us as the package of our religion or our rituals and just follow it blindly, we definitely will not be able to learn it in depth. At the time of departure, when all of us will go through it, when we are going to pass away, going to our next stage of the journey, from what we have learned, that moment is a very, very critical, harsh moment. The amount of the pressure and pain is immense, unsurmountable, and beyond our imagination. That's what we are told. I assimilate it for myself, just like when you have a wound on your skin and then you have a band-aid on it and you want to remove that band-aid. It's just painful because some of your hair is now being taken away from you. Now think yourself as somebody who's attached to millions of these attachments to the world. You will be surprised if somebody makes a list of what you are connected to and what you're attached to, what you belong to and that belongs to you. God knows how many things are attached to you at any given moment. And at the time of death, the time of departure, all of those attachments are being separated from you. It's an immense pain, excruciating. So much so you will forget even your own name. On that moment, it's really hard to play the games that we normally play on our daily life. And now if I ask you, Man Rabbuk, you very simply say Allah, and then who is your prophet, you'll say this and that, and it's very easy. Because you are now sitting comfortable on your chair here, with the nice weather and everything, and light and everything is soothing and comfortable, so you remember things. But on those moments where you need these things the most, you lose them for the most part. Only the exceptional individuals who have lived those things will remember those questions. That's why we have talqeen, because it is really hard to remember things after or during that very painful stage of death. Only those who have lived these values gradually throughout their lives and have been associated with all those things in depth on a daily basis, day in, day out, are the ones who can remember part of those at the time of departure. كلا إذا بلغت الحلقوم كلا إذا بلغت التراقي وقيل من راق وظن أنه الفراق والتفت الساق بالساق إلى ربك يومئذ المساق. That's a very, very tough moment. Only those of us can remember. There are two angels, as you know, will knock your door at that time will ask you a few simple, basic, very basic questions. That's the start of your new journey. It's not everything, it's just the beginning of it. And that questions are very simple. Who is your God? And so forth. In order to remember those questions on that very harsh moment, we have to live those questions in our lives here. And that doesn't come unless you learn them by heart and you learn them by practicing on a daily basis. So just being born as a Muslim, it doesn't necessarily hold water and cut for you. We have to get born again in Islam. And that starts with using your intellect. The main source for us is Quran and the narrations of Holy Prophet, which is, of course, throughout the Imams, his immaculate progeny. We need to learn Quran. And we need to get acquainted with Quran. However, remember, there are so many different variety of interpretations and understandings from Quran. Not all of them are necessarily righteous. Just by being something from, just extracting something from Quran does not necessarily substantiate the truthfulness. We have to understand there are difference between day and night amongst the interpretations of Quran. And the only one that is worth spending your life on is the one that Holy Prophet gives us. And how do we get his teachings? Through his immaculate progeny, Ahlul Bayt. Then we need to know Islam. If we can look at Islam as a tree. It has roots, bodies, leaves, and then fruit. You plant a tree for the fruit, but remember, you cannot have a good fruit without strong roots. What is the roots of this tree and what are the fruits of this tree? I believe the root of this tree are we call it in Farsi, ma'rifat nazari or ma'arif nazari, or the intellectual aspect of learning Islam. The part that is mostly learning the theoretical principles, usul al-aqaid, and the Quran. Those are the roots of this tree. If we are strong on those, then this tree can stand on its own and can bring us, inshallah, good fruits. And the fruits are the practical parts of Islam. So if we can, in two huge, large categories, general categories, we can put number one, the intellectual and the theoretical part of Islam, and the second one is the practical part of Islam. The intellectual and the knowledge base of it comes with you spending time and being really serious about learning things and having a critical thinking attitude. Do not just settle with any answer that anybody gives you. When you have a question, always trust Allah. Be sincere in your heart. Have a good intention, but you will find the answer. You will find somebody who can give you the answer to your question if you have a good intention and if you are sincere. You are not asking a question because you wanted to show off. You are not asking a question because you wanted to put somebody down and you wanted to tell them that I know better than you. You are asking a question because you wanted to learn something. And if you are in that attitude, Allah will help you to find the answer. Find a good teacher and a mentor who can help you navigate these pretty complex routes and instruct you to the answers. But just following your community, your friends, your parents, is not necessarily the best thing that you can do with your life. A good question is a major part of an answer. But Allah will help you when you have a sincere mind and heart. You really want to learn. You really want to practice those things. Then it is interesting when you do learn something, once you start practicing it, you will find that that practice helps you understand the theory of that thing more. And the more you practice, the more you learn, and then the more you learn, you will be better a practitioner. These two, hand in hand, will lead the way to you. But you are not alone. You have Allah for you. الَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. Those who strive, those who try, those who spend time and energy and effort to learn and to be in this way, in this pathway, we will definitely guarantee that we will support them. You will not go astray if you have a sincere mind and you really want to learn your religion, your Quran, and the narrations of the Holy Prophet. The things that composes the whole Islamic teachings, part of it is the principles, we call them usul al-aqaid. It's about how we look at the whole world. In Farsi we say jahanbini, or how the world looks like to us. What is our interpretation from this world? How do we explain this world? Then it's the knowledge about the humanity, the mankind. Who is mankind? Who are we as persons, as individuals? What is our nafs? What is our body? And how do they relate and interpret? And what is our spirit? And how do we benefit from the combination of all these body, spirit, and soul and all that? And then the most precious one is knowing the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything, the ultimate knowledge is there. Learning all these things might take a while. But trust me, you will find answer to your questions amazingly from places that you never expect. مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. As long as you are trying to learn and you are trying to practice what you have learned, everything opens up to you. And then you become a true Muslim, not a so-called Muslim, not just a potential Muslim. Then you can change. You can change the world by changing yourself. But remember, we cannot prosper, we cannot get to the highest point except and unless when we have a community that is on that same direction with us. This is not a path that you can go on your own individually. You can go several steps, but not the whole journey. You need a community around you. You need to establish a group of relatives and friends that are in line with your ideas and your goals. If you do that, then you will succeed. And the world will not come to us and will not follow us and will not like us if we cannot present ourselves in a beautiful and attractive fashion as a community, as a society. As long as our communities, our Muslim countries are like what they are today, we cannot expect others to be attracted to us and to follow us. And if you are expecting in one of these Fridays, Imam Asr, Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif, will raise and will announce, I am the Maw'ud, the one who was promised. It's a little bit simplifying. The thing is much more complicated than that. If he comes next Friday and announce that I am here to bring all the salvation and prosperity to the world, the first questions that people will ask him, maybe they will text him, or I don't know, maybe you will call him, I don't know if he has a cell phone or whatever. Whatever it is, they find a way to contact him and ask him, okay, can you please show me a sample of what you are talking about, that you want to make the whole world in that line? Where is that sample? Where is that little prototype that you are talking about? And if he doesn't have a prototype, if he doesn't have a little small community that he can be proud of, the world will not pay attention to his invitation. And guess what's going to happen? Some of us might think, okay, he's going to bring his sword and kill them all off. Do you think that he's coming to do that? I mean, that's his purpose? That is how he do it? 124,000 prophets never did that. And he is not going to do that. He is not going to come, actually, before he has a sample society that can be proud of. A real society that is muntazir. A real society which deserves that kind of leadership. And if he cannot make that society, he cannot help us. And then he cannot help the whole world. So, please ask God to give us the opportunity to be the members of that ideal society that brings Imam al-Asr Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. Salawat.